Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures! It's time for our weekly painting progress! And unfortunately, it's going to be a bit of a lonely one this week due to people not being as careful at work as they should be for my brother. So he had a bit of a COVID scare this week at work. Things look okay for him, but he had to go and self-quarantine for the time being, unfortunately. So I wasn't able to get any minis from him. But I'm sure he's going to bring in all sorts of numbers next week once he sees how much I got done. So, yeah, I'm throwing the gauntlet down in that regard. So, hopefully, he's able to match me, if not double it, or at least come close. So, we're going to start with the smallest piece this week. This was a bit of a failed print. It was originally a Velrock Art Kobold Swordsman, I believe, or Swordmaster. But you can just see I did an absolutely awful job of supporting it myself. And I'm the type that I'm like, it's close enough, I might as well just give it a shot. Yeah, there's bumps and weird spots all over him that I didn't realize were there until he was finished, but you know what? Not bad. We'll continue to make progress in that regard. Next up, our list of small people. We have I want to say he's a fixer, I believe was the description, from Stonehaven Miniatures, who I absolutely love, but just do not get around to painting their things as often as I can. So hopefully, before the end of the year, I can get a few more of my models finished. I did not remember to paint the barrels of the gun, sadly, and I thought his plaid vest there turned out pretty decent. Probably should touch up the face a little bit, but overall, not bad. I'm happy with how he turned out. He's got some interesting looking friends that someday I'm going to get around to painting as well from the last dwarf Kickstarter that Stonehaven did. Speaking of dwarfs, here we have a bit of a mishmash of Frostgrave and Oathmark bits. I wanted a dwarven crossbowman, and the actual Oathmark sprue just has archers, no crossbows. So he doesn't look as much like Hoggle now. I thought his head looked way out of proportion originally. I'm not even sure if those are dwarf arrows. I don't know where they came from. But he's done. He came out all right. Speaking of things that came out all right, finished up yet another Dark Age Irishman from War Games Atlantic. Playing around with some different colors. Made a mess of his shield. But overall, a fun little kit. And I was going to put some grass on there, and I totally forgot to. Darn it. We'll have to go do that. I think for just nice generic barbarians, they're going to be a great kit. I mean, obviously, yeah, they're Irish, and if you really want to, get the specifics colored in, sure, but I bet you can get away with using them as generic Gauls and stuff. I've been on a Roman binge, and I'm figuring they're good enough to make some Germanic barbarians. I won't tell if you won't. Next up is a random Frostgrave Knight with lots of little bits of things all over him. And I'm not happy with that shield, but it's okay. With a bit of a blue for him. Let's see what else. A old metal North Star samurai from their box set. And I already got a chip on it. Cool. Yeah, it looks like a bunch of them. What did I do to this guy? It totally reminds me of... Oh gosh, what was the clan that they fight at the end of Lone Wolf and Cub in the manga? I don't remember. The last guy that Ito Ogami fights. That's totally who it reminds me of. Down to the eye patch and the wild hair. Alright. A random Fireforge Living Dead zombie guy. What were they called? Forgotten World? Forgotten World or Forgotten Worlds? I don't remember if it was singular or plural. The weird pattern scribbled on his shield. He turned out all right. He was just kind of, again, my proof of getting one done just to see how they turned out. Size-wise, not too bad. If you're interested in Fireforge's stuff, it does scale really well. Hint, hint. If you wanted to mix those all in there, especially with Oathmark and things. Let's see, what else we got here? Here's something totally random. A blood orange miniature samurai guy. He has been sitting waiting to get finished for ages. Well, I finally did it. I didn't do the best job, but he's done. I like the face. The face came out okay. So there's that to say for it. Some more Scarles, the unit leader. And have a fancy golden shield. And he has a blinged out cloak. Whereas the normal basic guys do not. Continuing to work my way through those. And let's see, we've got a lot of 3D printed stuff still, it looks like. Okay, here's something. I don't think I've ever really came across any of these guys painted yet. Now, I did a terrible job on that dog. I'm sorry, Boston Terrier owners. I tried, and I'm not super happy with it. I think it's the eyes I'm going to have to fix. Anyway, this is from Durgan Paint Forge, part of their second government. And this is one of the red coat guys. They had the red coats and the blue coats. And this was one of their bases that they included. Check out the shape. That's nice and obnoxious. It does fit in an inch square, though. So if you wanted to use it for tabletop games, and if you're worried about spacing issues, then that shouldn't be an issue. And I want to say he actually is going to be available as a digital file once they have the Kickstarter pledge manager for their elf one available. Because I want to say their all-in bundle was like 50 euros or something, but a crap load of models were included as well. Pretty sure this guy is, and I want to say all their dogs were as well. So if you want to have giant Boston Terriers, something to think about. He's done, and since I got him done, I figure I'm going to start working my way through the rest of that pledge. I have an idea of how to paint them now. We'll move forward with that. Okay. Some more lion people. Now, admittedly, my female one, I don't know what it is, if it's the paint, if it's the sculpt, it really reminds me of a hyena. Is it just me? It's well sculpted. Don't get me wrong. And I got paint on her, great. But I don't know if it's just I think it might just be my paint job. And then the male one, obviously we went with a more yellowy color. They're both pretty neat though. I like Alexi's stuff. He sculpts some really neat things. Out of curiosity. So here's how they stack up human to lion man. Keeping in mind, this is just the original size that I printed it at. If you wanted to modify it, you totally could. And I totally failed one of his scabbards back there. But painted up, you would never know that, would you? Other than the fact that I just spoiled it. Alright, speaking of printing errors, we have this guy from Gummick. And I really like this sculpt. And I don't know what I did, but he's got that hole where there's actually supposed to be his entire top-knot ponytail head spike thing. Despite that, everything else worked really well. A really sloppy, quick job. And you can see here that it looks like there was a fail on the end of his axe as well. No idea what caused it. But he's done enough. From a distance, I don't think anybody would really notice. And if I don't point out the fact that he's missing that top spike, it's hard to see it as well. Now this guy I really dig. This guy was from Titan Forge's Bloodfields Kickstarter. He was part of their shape shifter army. And you can see he's got like the wolf emblems. He's supposed to be a werewolf in human form, and I jacked up the hilt of his sword. I don't know how that happened. Everything else turned out okay, but just a cool looking pose. As he dramatically stands there with his overcoat gracefully flapping in the wind, right? And then we got some Cobra Mode guys done. These guys were fun. Not the greatest paint or print job, but I think, given my limited means, they came out really nice. Now, if I only knew what I did with the swordsman, I have no idea. He's completely disappeared. No clue at all. That's absolutely bizarre. I really don't know what I did with him. So we have that one, and then we have the cannon one as well. We tried painting him up like Akuma. I even did the correct brush strokes, but it didn't look good, so I just filled it in. I love the carp face on it. So So again, absolutely dig Cobra Mode stuff. If you ever get a chance, do check out their My Mini Factory page or their Patreon site. There are some really fun models like these guys in there. They have like the cool, this month at least is, I want to say they have a gunner version of one of these guys dressed up in heavy armor with 2 pistols. So overall, not a bad haul considering I was flying solo this week for miniatures, but I'm sure I will have some of Barzam's stuff back next week, hopefully. Yeah, I know he's going to have to really put out some big numbers there. We don't want any of those rookie numbers, right? And hopefully all of you guys out there are doing the same, keeping painting, keeping busy, keeping safe, and getting ready for Thanksgiving, hopefully with very small crowds if you're in the U.S. So fingers crossed everybody stays safe out there because it's getting to be kind of worrisome. Anyways, I will bid you all a fond farewell. Next week we should have some interesting stuff coming up. I know I started letting the people on our Patreon voice their desires as to what we should be showing off next or how we should paint things. So if you're interested in getting a say in that, or if you have some things you'd love to suggest, please do take a look at our Patreon page and help support our channel to make sure we can keep these obscurities coming. With that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities in miniature, saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.